The 1960s was a golden age for American cars, but not every vehicle of the decade was a success. While some became iconic symbols of the era, others flopped due to poor engineering, uninspired design, or outright baffling decisions. Here are the 11 worst and stupidest American cars of the 1960s, remembered for their failures and missteps.
Dear viewer, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for your support.
Number 11. The 1963 Mercury Marauder was introduced by Ford's Mercury division as a performance-oriented full-size car intended to compete with the growing market of powerful American muscle cars. While Mercury had hoped to create a sporty and stylish vehicle, the Marauder struggled to meet expectations and faced several key issues that held it back from success. The 1963 Mercury Marauder was initially positioned as Mercury's entry into the high-performance car market. With its powerful engine options and sleek fastback roofline, it was designed to appeal to buyers seeking speed and style. However, it fell short in several areas, making it less competitive in both performance and aesthetics when compared to other muscle cars of the era. The 1963 Marauder was built on a full-size chassis, making it larger and heavier than many of its muscle car competitors. The weight of the vehicle hampered its performance, especially in terms of acceleration and handling, making it feel more like a large family sedan than a true performance car. While the Marauder sported a fastback roofline that gave it a somewhat sporty look, its overall design was considered bland and lacked the aggressive styling cues found in competitors like the Pontiac GTO or Chevrolet Impala. Its boxy, bulky proportions made it appear less dynamic, and the styling failed to differentiate it from other full-size Mercury models of the time. The Marauder struggled to carve out a distinct identity. It was not sleek or sporty enough to be seen as a serious performance vehicle, but it was also not luxurious or elegant enough to stand out in the premium market. This made it feel like a middle-of-the-road car that didn't excel in any particular category. Despite being equipped with powerful V8 engines, including options like the 390 cubic inch 6.4-liter V8 and the 406 cubic inch 6.7-liter V8, the Marauder's heavy weight and large size meant that it didn't deliver the level of performance that its engine specifications might suggest. Its acceleration was sluggish compared to lighter, more nimble competitors in the muscle car market. The Marauder's size and weight also negatively impacted its handling. It was not particularly agile on the road, and cornering at higher speeds could feel unstable. The suspension was more tuned for comfort than performance, further diminishing its appeal to drivers seeking a true performance experience. Like many large cars of its era, the Marauder was a gas guzzler, and its large V8 engines were inefficient. While this was not unusual for the time, it added to the vehicle's already cumbersome feel and made it less practical for everyday use. The 1963 Mercury Marauder was introduced at a time when the muscle car market was heating up. However, the Marauder's combination of a bulky, uninspired design and mediocre performance meant that it failed to capture the attention of buyers who were looking for fast, stylish, and exciting cars. Vehicles like the Pontiac GTO, Chevrolet Impala SS, and Ford's own Galaxy 500 overshadowed the Marauder in both sales and popularity. Mercury was known for producing mid-level luxury cars, and the Marauder's attempt to break into the performance market clashed with the brand's reputation. As a result, it neither satisfied the performance enthusiasts nor appealed to traditional Mercury buyers who expected comfort and luxury over speed and power. The Marauder did come with strong engine choices, which gave it decent straight-line performance when compared to other full-size cars of the time. The V8s provided plenty of torque, making it a capable cruiser. Thanks to its full-size chassis and suspension setup, the Marauder offered a relatively smooth and comfortable ride, especially for highway driving. This made it more comfortable than some of its muscle car counterparts, albeit at the cost of performance. The fastback design, while not enough to make it stand out in the muscle car world, gave the Marauder a somewhat distinctive look within Mercury's lineup, helping it appear a bit sportier than the brand's more conservative models. The 1963 Mercury Marauder ultimately failed to live up to its performance aspirations and was overshadowed by more successful muscle cars of the 1960s. Its lack of a clear identity, neither fully a luxury car nor a true muscle car, left it in an awkward middle ground. Though it has gained some recognition among classic car enthusiasts, particularly those interested in lesser-known models, it never achieved the iconic status of many of its contemporaries. The 1963 Mercury Marauder serves as an example of a car that tried to blend performance with luxury, but failed to excel in either category. Its bulky design, mediocre speed, and failure to connect with the growing muscle car market meant that it struggled to find success, remaining an often overlooked and underappreciated vehicle from Mercury's lineup. Number 10. The 1964 Studebaker Daytona was introduced during a turbulent time for the Studebaker Corporation, as the company was struggling to remain competitive in an increasingly tough automotive market. Although the Daytona was intended to be a sportier and more upscale model, it suffered from several issues that hindered its success. The 1964 Studebaker Daytona was part of the compact Lark lineup, which had seen some success in earlier years. Studebaker positioned the Daytona as a more refined and sporty option within their range, available in various body styles, including hardtop, convertible, and wagon. However, by the mid-1960s, Studebaker was on the brink of collapse, and the Daytona reflected many of the problems that were dragging the company down. By 1964, Studebaker's financial struggles had resulted in cost-cutting measures that significantly affected the quality of the vehicles coming off the assembly line. The Daytona, like many Studebaker models of the time, was plagued by poor build quality, with many owners reporting issues such as loose fittings, rattles, and inconsistent panel alignment. The interior of the Daytona suffered from subpar materials and workmanship. Dashboard components, upholstery, and trim were often poorly assembled, leading to a lack of refinement. This was particularly problematic in the Daytona, as it was meant to be an upscale model. The 1964 Daytona experienced frequent mechanical problems, including issues with the engine, transmission, and electrical systems. The V8 engine, while offering decent power for a compact car, was not particularly reliable and required regular maintenance. The transmissions, both manual and automatic, were also known for having issues, such as slipping gears and early failures. Electrical problems were common, with issues such as faulty wiring, malfunctioning gauges, and unreliable lighting systems. These problems added to the frustration of ownership, as repairs were frequent and often expensive. As Studebaker's fortunes declined, so did the availability of replacement parts. Owners of the Daytona often found it difficult to source parts for repairs, which compounded the vehicle's reliability issues and made it expensive to maintain. The 1964 Daytona's styling was a continuation of the Lark's early 1960s design, which had begun to look dated by mid-decade. While the car featured some sporty touches like a chrome grille and sleeker lines compared to other Studebaker models, it still looked old-fashioned compared to more modern, aerodynamic designs from competitors like Ford and Chevrolet. The Daytona's design lacked the boldness or flair needed to stand out in the rapidly evolving car market of the 1960s. It was neither innovative nor distinctive enough to capture the attention of buyers, especially as muscle cars and sleek coupes from other manufacturers were gaining popularity. While the Daytona offered a V8 engine, its performance did not match the expectations of buyers looking for sporty, fast cars. The engine options were adequate for daily driving, but lacked the muscle and excitement offered by competitors like the Ford Mustang, Chevrolet Chevelle, or Pontiac GTO, which were starting to dominate the market. By 1964, American car buyers were flocking to new, more exciting models from other manufacturers. Ford's Mustang, for example, was launched that same year and set a new standard for sporty, affordable cars. In contrast, the Daytona felt old-fashioned and underwhelming, with neither the performance nor the styling to compete. By 1964, Studebaker was in serious financial trouble, and its cars, including the Daytona, suffered as a result. The company's dwindling resources meant that research and development were limited, and the quality of the vehicles continued to decline. Buyers were wary of investing in a brand that might not be around much longer, and this uncertainty hurt sales. Studebaker's reputation had been tarnished by its declining quality, and this affected the Daytona's ability to attract buyers. Consumers were becoming more cautious about purchasing Studebaker vehicles, fearing ongoing reliability issues and difficulties with repairs or finding parts. For its size, the Daytona offered a relatively comfortable ride. Its suspension was tuned more for comfort than performance, making it a decent choice for everyday driving. While not a true performance car, the availability of a V8 engine gave the Daytona a bit of power, especially when compared to some other compact cars of the time. The Daytona convertible was one of the few compact convertibles available at the time, offering open-air driving for buyers who wanted that experience. The 1964 Studebaker Daytona struggled to keep up with the mid-1960s automotive market. Plagued by declining build quality, reliability concerns, and a dated design, it was unable to compete with more modern and exciting offerings from other manufacturers. Number 9. The 1966 Oldsmobile Toronado was a groundbreaking vehicle in terms of innovation, but it was also burdened with significant drawbacks that kept it from reaching its full potential. As one of the first American cars to feature front-wheel drive, the Toronado was hailed for its technological leap. However, its massive size, heavy weight, and poor fuel efficiency made it less appealing for many buyers. The 1966 Oldsmobile Toronado debuted as a personal luxury coupe, and its most significant feature was its front-wheel drive layout, which was rare for American cars at the time. Oldsmobile hoped to combine cutting-edge technology with luxury and power, and the Toronado came with a large V8 engine and a unique, sleek design. Despite its innovations, the car suffered from issues that affected its appeal in the marketplace. Weighing in at nearly 4,500 pounds, the 1966 Toronado was excessively heavy for a personal coupe. While its massive size was meant to convey luxury and power, the weight caused significant performance and handling issues. The heavy chassis, combined with the large V8 engine, made the car difficult to maneuver, especially in tight corners. Despite having a powerful 7.0-liter V8 engine that produced 385 horsepower, the weight of the car blunted its performance. The car was capable of decent acceleration in a straight line, but the extra weight severely impacted its handling, making it feel sluggish on curvy roads or at high speeds. The front-wheel drive system, while innovative, was not without its challenges. Combined with the car's bulk, the Toronado's handling was compromised, especially during aggressive driving. Understeer was a common problem, meaning the car had a tendency to plow forward when trying to navigate tight turns. The suspension was also tuned more for comfort than performance, further reducing its handling capabilities. The heavy front end, caused by the front-wheel drive layout and large engine, made steering the Toronado more difficult than most rear-wheel drive cars of the era. While power steering helped somewhat, it lacked the precise feel that performance-oriented drivers were looking for. The 1966 Toronado was notorious for its poor fuel efficiency. The large V8 engine, combined with the car's weight and front-wheel drive system, resulted in abysmal gas mileage even by the standards of the time. The car's fuel consumption was a significant drawback, particularly as fuel efficiency became more of a concern for consumers in the following decades. While powerful, the 7.0-liter 425 cubic inch V8 was a gas guzzler, contributing to the car's inefficiency. This made it expensive to run, and for buyers who wanted a luxury car that was also practical, the Toronado's fuel consumption was a deal-breaker. The Toronado's large dimensions made it difficult to park and navigate in urban areas. While its long, low profile gave it an impressive presence on the road, it also made the car feel cumbersome. In contrast, competitors in the personal luxury car market were often more agile and easier to drive in everyday conditions. The car's size made it challenging to maneuver in tight spaces, such as parking lots or narrow streets. This, combined with its poor handling, meant that drivers had to be cautious when driving the Toronado in everyday traffic, detracting from its ease of use. Although front-wheel drive was a standout feature, it introduced several problems. The front tires bore most of the weight, leading to faster tire wear and uneven weight distribution. Additionally, while the front-wheel drive layout improved traction in certain conditions, it didn't necessarily make for a better driving experience when it came to performance or handling. Traditional rear-wheel drive cars often had better balance and dynamics, particularly in the luxury coupe segment. The front-wheel drive system, while innovative, added mechanical complexity, which could lead to more frequent repairs and maintenance issues. This was a concern for buyers who were wary of dealing with unfamiliar and less proven technology. The 1966 Oldsmobile Toronado is remembered as an ambitious and innovative car that broke new ground in terms of technology and design. However, its excessive weight, poor handling, and fuel inefficiency limited its appeal at the time. Despite its flaws, the Toronado has become something of a classic, appreciated today for its bold styling and pioneering use of front-wheel drive. Innovative front-wheel drive system, powerful V8 engine, distinctive styling. Weaknesses: excessive weight, poor handling, terrible fuel efficiency, front-wheel drive limitations, and bulk. The 1966 Oldsmobile Toronado remains an interesting chapter in automotive history. Its combination of innovation and performance was groundbreaking, but its flaws, particularly in handling and fuel economy, kept it from achieving widespread success during its time. Number 8. The 1961 Lincoln Continental convertible is an enduring symbol of luxury and style, known for its sleek design, iconic suicide doors, and minimalist aesthetic. It quickly became a favorite among collectors and automotive enthusiasts for its elegant appearance and engineering innovations. However, the car was not without its problems, particularly with its convertible model, which was plagued by mechanical issues. The 1961 Lincoln Continental represented a complete redesign from the previous model year, with a focus on clean lines and restrained luxury. The convertible version was particularly striking, featuring Lincoln's signature suicide doors, rear-hinged rear doors, which became a defining feature of the car. It was a significant departure from the trend of bigger and flashier American cars of the time, making it a standout in the luxury car segment. One of the most problematic aspects of the 1961 Lincoln Continental convertible was its power-operated convertible top. The system used to retract the roof was incredibly complicated, involving multiple hydraulic motors, relays, and switches that had to work in perfect synchronization. While impressive when it functioned correctly, this system was notorious for failing, often leaving owners stranded with a half-open roof. The power top mechanism had a reputation for breaking down frequently. The combination of hydraulics and electrical components meant there were numerous points of failure. Issues with the relays, hydraulic leaks, and motor malfunctions were common, resulting in costly repairs. Owners often had to deal with the top becoming stuck in the middle of operation, leading to frustration and frequent trips to the mechanic. Repairing the convertible top mechanism was both time-consuming and expensive. Finding technicians familiar with the complex system, even at the time, was difficult, and the cost of parts was high due to the intricacy of the system. This made the convertible version of the car a headache to maintain, as even minor issues could lead to extensive repairs. The 1961 Continental convertible was heavy, tipping the scales at over 5,000 pounds. This weight contributed to the car's poor fuel efficiency and made it feel sluggish when driving. The convertible version was even heavier than the sedan due to the additional reinforcement needed to compensate for the lack of a fixed roof, which further affected its handling. The added weight, especially in the convertible version, made the car harder to maneuver. The suspension was tuned for a smooth ride, but this came at the expense of agility, especially in tight turns or when parking. The car's bulk made it difficult to handle in urban environments, and it felt unwieldy compared to its lighter competitors. Beyond the convertible top, the 1961 Lincoln Continental was not free of other mechanical issues. The car was equipped with a 7.0-liter, 430 cubic inch V8 engine, which was powerful but often unreliable. Overheating issues, electrical system failures, and problems with the automatic transmission were not uncommon. These reliability issues were exacerbated in the convertible model, as the additional complexity of the power top system added more things that could go wrong. The car's electrical system was prone to malfunctions, particularly with the power windows, top, and other accessories. This led to numerous complaints from owners, who found themselves dealing with windows stuck in the open position, non-functioning gauges, and lights that would fail without warning. The cost of maintaining a 1961 Lincoln Continental convertible was high, especially due to the complex systems in the car. Owners had to contend with frequent and expensive repairs for the top mechanism, electrical problems, and other mechanical issues. The car was also expensive to run due to its large engine and poor fuel economy. The massive V8 engine, while offering plenty of power, was a gas guzzler. The car's weight, combined with the large displacement engine, resulted in very low fuel economy, even by the standards of the early 1960s. This made the car expensive to drive, particularly for owners using it as a daily vehicle. Number 7. The 1968 Ford Torino GT base model was intended to be a stylish and sportier option in Ford's midsize lineup, part of the Torino family that aimed to compete with popular muscle cars of the era. While the high-performance versions of the Torino GT received praise for their power and speed, the base model fell short in several key areas, making it less attractive to buyers seeking both performance and style. The Ford Torino line was introduced in 1968 as a higher trim version of the Ford Fairlane, meant to bridge the gap between family cars and muscle cars. The GT was marketed as the performance-oriented model, with more aggressive styling and available powerful V8 engines. However, the base model of the Torino GT failed to live up to the muscle car image it was meant to project, suffering from underwhelming performance, a lackluster interior, and uninspired styling. The base 1968 Ford Torino GT had styling that was neither aggressive nor particularly eye-catching, especially when compared to other muscle cars of the time, such as the Pontiac GTO or Chevrolet Chevelle. While the high-performance models had a sportier look with special badging and bold stripes, the base model lacked these features, making it appear too plain for a car that was supposed to be a GT. The overall shape and design of the base Torino GT were fairly generic, with little to distinguish it from the standard Fairlane. It didn't have the muscular lines or distinctive details that define many of its competitors in the muscle car market. This made it less desirable for buyers who wanted a car that stood out. While high-performance Torino GTs came with powerful V8 engines, the base model was often equipped with weaker engines, such as a 302 cubic inch V8 or even a 6-cylinder. These engines did not provide the thrilling performance one might expect from a GT model. The 302 V8, for example, only produced around 210 horsepower, which was mediocre compared to other muscle cars of the era. The base model's performance left much to be desired. Acceleration was sluggish, and it lacked the torque and power needed to compete with more exciting muscle cars of the time. Drivers expecting a lively driving experience were often disappointed by the Torino GT's inability to deliver that feeling of speed and excitement. The interior of the base 1968 Torino GT was another area where it fell short. The materials used in the cabin were of low quality, with hard plastics, vinyl, and uninspiring design. The seats were not particularly comfortable, and the dashboard layout was plain, lacking the sporty flair that buyers expected from a GT model. The interior lacked refinement and did not live up to the expectations of a car marketed as a higher-end model. The base GT's cabin felt more like that of a standard family sedan than a performance car. It lacked special features or styling cues that would make the driving experience more exciting or comfortable. The base Torino GT suspension and handling were more tuned for comfort than performance. The car tended to feel soft and disconnected from the road, especially in corners. This was particularly disappointing for a car carrying the GT badge, as buyers expected better handling and a more engaging driving experience. While higher performance versions of the Torino GT could be thrilling to drive, the base model felt bland. The lack of power and less precise steering meant that the car didn't provide the excitement and control one would expect from a muscle car or a grand touring vehicle. The base 1968 Torino GT struggled to stand out in a crowded market filled with iconic muscle cars. Models like the Chevrolet Chevelle SS, Pontiac GTO, and Dodge Charger all offered more power, better styling, and more exciting driving experiences. The base Torino GT, with its weaker engine and bland design, simply couldn't compete with these more thrilling alternatives. Unlike its competitors, which had strong identities and brand recognition, the Torino GT struggled to establish itself. The base model was often seen as a compromise vehicle, sitting between the more powerful muscle cars and the everyday family sedans, but excelling in neither category. The 1968 Ford Torino GT base model is largely forgotten today, overshadowed by both the higher performance Torino GT variants and other muscle cars of the era. While it was not a bad car in terms of reliability or comfort, its underwhelming performance, bland styling, and uninspired interior kept it from achieving the iconic status that many other cars from the late 1960s have enjoyed. Number 6. The 1965 Plymouth Barracuda was one of the earliest entrants into the pony car market, introduced to compete with the wildly successful Ford Mustang. While it had some innovative features, like its large rear window, the Barracuda struggled to live up to its muscle car aspirations, particularly in its base model. Despite its bold design choices, it had several shortcomings that kept it from achieving the same iconic status as some of its contemporaries. The 1965 Plymouth Barracuda was based on the Plymouth Valiant and was marketed as a sportier alternative. It predated the Mustang by a few weeks, but it didn't capture the same level of enthusiasm. The Barracuda was distinguished by its fastback design and massive wraparound rear window, which became its most recognizable feature. Unfortunately, that design also led to one of its biggest aesthetic criticisms, and the car's performance didn't meet the expectations set by its sporty looks. One of the defining features of the 1965 Barracuda was its large, curved rear window, which was the largest piece of automotive glass in production at the time. While innovative, this rear window gave the car an awkward, fishbowl-like appearance that many found unattractive. The sheer size of the glass made the rear of the car look disproportionate compared to the rest of the body. The massive rear window also created problems in terms of heat and glare. Without modern tinting or UV protection, the large glass panel turned the interior of the car into an oven on sunny days, and passengers were often uncomfortable due to the lack of insulation from the sun. This added to the car's impracticality, particularly in warmer climates. Although the Barracuda was marketed as a sporty car, the base model's engine options were far from impressive. The standard engine was a 2.8-liter, 170 cubic inch, slant-six engine, producing a mere 101 horsepower. This engine was underpowered for a car that was supposed to be a competitor in the burgeoning muscle car market. While larger engines were available as options, the base model was simply too weak to offer any real excitement on the road. The Barracuda failed to live up to the muscle car image in its base form. Even the available V8 options, such as the 4.5-liter, 273 cubic inch V8, producing 180 horsepower, were still not competitive with the more powerful engines offered in other cars of the era, like the Mustang or Chevrolet Camaro. The lack of muscle under the hood hurt the car's reputation as a performance vehicle. Beyond the rear window, the overall styling of the 1965 Barracuda was fairly plain and uninspired. While the fastback shape gave it a sporty silhouette, the car was largely based on the conservative design of the Valiant, which didn't help it stand out in the growing pony car market. The front grille and side profile were simple and lacked the aggressive styling that other muscle cars were beginning to adopt. Because the Barracuda was so closely related to the Valiant, it didn't look as distinctive or exciting as it should have. Its conservative appearance made it hard for the car to capture the youthful, rebellious image that other pony cars were so effectively selling. The 1965 Barracuda was equipped with a suspension system that was more in line with the Plymouth Valiant's economy car setup than a true sports car. This resulted in a soft, less responsive ride that wasn't suited for high-performance driving. While the car was comfortable enough for daily driving, it lacked the agility and precision handling that muscle car buyers were looking for. The combination of an underpowered engine and basic suspension led to a driving experience that didn't feel sporty. The Barracuda lacked the punch and excitement that drivers expected from a car being marketed as a performance-oriented vehicle, particularly when compared to competitors like the Mustang, which offered more power and better handling. The 1965 Plymouth Barracuda holds a unique place in automotive history as one of the earliest competitors in the pony car market. While it didn't achieve the same level of success as the Mustang or Camaro, it set the stage for later, more powerful versions of the Barracuda in the late 1960s and early 1970s, which became iconic muscle cars in their own right. The 1965 Plymouth Barracuda is remembered more for its bold rear window design and place in history as an early pony car than for its performance or styling, while later versions of the Barracuda would go on to become muscle car legends. The 1965 base model fell short of its potential, suffering from uninspiring engines and an awkward design that didn't quite resonate with buyers looking for a true performance car. Number 5. The 1962 Imperial Crown was Chrysler's attempt to compete with luxury brands like Cadillac and Lincoln, but it fell short due to its over-the-top design choices and less-than-ideal driving dynamics. The Imperial Crown was positioned as the height of luxury, with opulent features and striking styling. However, these very elements ended up being its downfall, as the car came off as overly gaudy and impractical. The Imperial nameplate had been around for a while as Chrysler's answer to the luxury car market, and by the early 1960s, it was marketed as its own distinct brand. The 1962 Imperial Crown was intended to exude class and grandeur, featuring an array of luxurious options and eye-catching design elements. However, Chrysler's attempt to stand out led to a car that was criticized for being excessively ornate and heavy, which in turn affected its performance. One of the biggest criticisms of the 1962 Imperial Crown was its appearance. The car featured massive tail fins, which by the early 1960s had already gone out of style. The fins, while toned down compared to previous years, still seemed excessive and contributed to the car's overly ostentatious look. The car's exterior was also filled with large amounts of chrome trim, which added to its gaudy appearance. The front grille, bumpers, and rear taillights were excessively adorned with chrome, making the car look more like a flashy piece of jewelry than a refined luxury vehicle. This design approach clashed with the more modern and restrained styling trends of the time, making the Imperial Crown seem dated and out of touch. In addition to the tail fins and chrome, the overall proportions of the Imperial Crown were quite bulky. The long hood, massive rear, and wide stance made the car look overly heavy, which detracted from its elegance. It lacked the graceful lines of its competitors, such as the Cadillac or Lincoln Continental, both of which had embraced cleaner, more streamlined designs. The 1962 Imperial Crown was excessively heavy, tipping the scales at over 5,000 pounds depending on the model. This weight had a significant impact on the car's performance, making it sluggish to accelerate and difficult to maneuver. While luxury cars are often heavier than standard models, the Imperial Crown's weight was well beyond what was reasonable for the time. The car's weight, combined with its long wheelbase, resulted in poor handling. The Imperial Crown was unwieldy, especially in tight corners or when making sharp turns. It was designed more for straight-line cruising on highways than for navigating city streets or twisty roads. This lack of agility made the car feel cumbersome and outdated compared to its more refined competitors. The excessive weight also strained the car's braking system. Despite the large drum brakes, the Imperial Crown's stopping distance was longer than expected, which posed a safety concern for such a heavy vehicle. This made driving in urban environments or during sudden stops particularly challenging. The 1962 Imperial Crown was powered by a 6.8-liter, 413 cubic inch V8 engine, which produced 340 horsepower. While this may sound impressive, the car's excessive weight severely hampered its acceleration and overall performance. The engine struggled to deliver the kind of responsive power that was expected in a luxury vehicle of this class. It took longer to reach highway speeds, and the sluggish acceleration detracted from the driving experience. Another drawback of the car's size and weight was its terrible fuel economy. The Imperial Crown was a gas guzzler, consuming far more fuel than its competitors. At a time when fuel economy was becoming more of a concern for buyers, the car's thirst for gasoline was another strike against it. The tail fins on the 1962 Imperial Crown were a remnant of the late 1950s design trends, which had already started to fall out of favor by the early 1960s. Other manufacturers were moving toward more subdued, modern designs, but Chrysler continued to cling to this outdated feature. This gave the car a dated appearance, and instead of coming off as futuristic or stylish, it looked out of sync with the times. While Chrysler equipped the Imperial Crown with many luxury features, such as power windows, air conditioning, and power seats, some of the technology was overly complex and prone to malfunction. For example, the car's automatic push-button transmission was novel, but it was also seen as finicky and unreliable. This added to the perception that the car was more about flashy gimmicks than solid engineering. The 1962 Imperial Crown is remembered more for its excesses than for its success. It stands as an example of how Chrysler's Imperial division struggled to find the right balance between luxury and style in an increasingly competitive market. Number 4, the 1964 Chevrolet Chevelle Malibu debuted as part of Chevrolet's new intermediate-sized Chevelle lineup, which was positioned between the full-size Impala and the compact Nova. While later iterations of the Chevelle Malibu would become icons of the muscle car era, the base model of the 1964 release was underwhelming in terms of both performance and styling. It failed to stand out during its debut year, overshadowed by more exciting models from both Chevrolet and other manufacturers. The Chevelle Malibu was Chevrolet's attempt to compete in the growing midsize car segment. While it was offered in several trims, including higher performance versions, the base model was aimed at buyers looking for an affordable, practical vehicle rather than a sporty or high-performance option. The Malibu name would later become synonymous with muscle car culture, but in 1964, the base version struggled to make an impact. The base model of the 1964 Chevelle Malibu came equipped with a 3.2-liter, 194 cubic inch, inline-six engine that produced only 120 horsepower. This engine was better suited for a basic commuter car than something marketed as a sporty midsize vehicle. The modest power output made the car feel sluggish, especially when compared to the V8-powered versions of the Chevelle or competitors like the Pontiac GTO, which was released the same year. Although the Malibu would later be associated with high-performance versions like the SS396, the base model in 1964 had none of the characteristics that would make it an icon. Its performance was far from thrilling, and buyers looking for excitement on the road were left disappointed by its lackluster acceleration and handling. The 1964 Chevelle Malibu was designed to be practical and affordable, but in doing so, Chevrolet produced a car that was visually uninspiring. The exterior design was plain, lacking the aggressive or bold styling cues that could have helped it stand out. The simple lines and boxy shape made the car look more like an ordinary family vehicle than something that would catch the eye of performance enthusiasts. The Malibu styling was conservative and safe, likely intended to appeal to a wide audience. However, this approach meant that it blended in with many other mid-size cars on the road in 1964. It didn't have the flair of the Ford Mustang, which was also introduced that year, or the distinctive curves of the GTO. For a car that would later become a muscle car legend, the 1964 base model lacked the visual excitement to make a memorable first impression. Inside, the base 1964 Chevelle Malibu was equally unremarkable. The interior was functional but far from luxurious or stylish. It featured basic materials, minimal trim, and a straightforward dashboard design. While it offered adequate comfort for daily driving, there was nothing particularly special about the interior to distinguish it from other cars in its class. While higher trims of the Malibu offered more options and features, the base model was fairly stripped down. Buyers looking for modern conveniences or luxurious touches would have been disappointed by the lack of power windows, air conditioning, and other amenities that were becoming more common in higher-end cars of the time. The 1964 Chevelle Malibu featured a conventional suspension setup that provided a comfortable ride, but it wasn't particularly sporty. The base model didn't have the firm handling or precise steering needed to make it a fun car to drive. On twisty roads, the car's handling was soft and uninspiring, contributing to the overall feeling that the base Malibu was more of a family car than a performance vehicle. While the Chevelle lineup eventually offered sportier options with improved suspension and handling, the base Malibu was left with an average driving experience that didn't match the sporty image that Chevrolet was trying to project with the new model. The Pontiac GTO, released the same year, stole much of the spotlight from the Chevelle Malibu. Pontiac's bold decision to put a big V8 in a mid-size car helped create the muscle car era, and the GTO's performance, styling, and aggressive marketing made it an instant hit. The Malibu, in contrast, seemed tame and forgettable, particularly in its base form. The Ford Mustang, another 1964 release, also overshadowed the Chevelle Malibu. The Mustang's sporty looks, affordability, and powerful marketing made it an instant icon, while the Malibu's more subdued approach failed to capture the same kind of excitement. The 1964 Chevelle Malibu is remembered more for what it would eventually become than for what it was in its base form. It was a conservative, practical car that didn't capture the imagination of buyers in the same way as the Mustang or GTO, but it paved the way for later models that would go on to define the muscle car era. Number 3, the 1963 Dodge Dart Phoenix was part of Dodge's Dart lineup, which aimed to compete in the burgeoning muscle car market. However, the Dart Phoenix fell short of expectations, particularly in terms of styling and performance. Despite its attempts to position itself as a sporty vehicle, it struggled to make an impression in a competitive market filled with more compelling alternatives. The Dodge Dart Phoenix was introduced as a mid-level trim in the Dart lineup and was designed to offer a blend of performance and style. It was meant to appeal to buyers interested in a sporty, affordable car, but it ultimately failed to deliver on both fronts. The 1963 Dart Phoenix featured styling that was neither innovative nor particularly attractive. Its design was characterized by a somewhat boxy shape and heavy use of chrome trim, which did not stand out in a market that was starting to favor more streamlined and aggressive looks. The front end was particularly criticized for its bland appearance, lacking the bold, muscular aesthetic that was becoming popular with muscle cars. The use of chrome and other decorative elements did not help the car's appearance. Instead of enhancing its look, these features contributed to a cluttered and outdated design. The Dart Phoenix looked more like a traditional sedan with some sporty touches, rather than a true muscle car. The Dart Phoenix was offered with a range of engines, but none of them were particularly powerful or inspiring. The base engine was a 3.7-liter, 225 cubic inch, inline six, which produced around 145 horsepower. This was considered weak for a car that was trying to capture the muscle car market. The optional V8 engines, while a step up, did not deliver the kind of performance that competitors like the Pontiac GTO or the Ford Mustang were offering. Despite the attempt to position the Phoenix as a performance vehicle, its engine options did not provide the kind of acceleration or driving excitement that buyers were looking for. The car's performance was more in line with that of a standard family sedan rather than a sporty muscle car. By 1963, the muscle car market was becoming increasingly competitive, with several manufacturers introducing models that captured the imagination of car enthusiasts. The Dodge Dart Phoenix struggled to stand out among these competitors. Cars like the Pontiac GTO and the Ford Falcon had already made significant impacts with their performance and design. The Phoenix did not offer anything particularly unique or compelling to differentiate itself from the crowd. Dodge's marketing for the Dart Phoenix was not as impactful as that of its competitors. The car did not benefit from a strong performance image or compelling advertising that could have boosted its appeal. As a result, it was overshadowed by more successful models that were better positioned as muscle cars. The interior of the 1963 Dart Phoenix was functional but unremarkable. It featured standard materials and design, with little in the way of advanced features or luxury touches. The cabin was plain and lacked the sporty or high-end feel that was becoming popular in performance-oriented vehicles. While the Phoenix offered basic amenities, it did not come with many of the advanced or sporty features that might have enhanced its appeal. The lack of performance-oriented options and upgrades contributed to the car's overall lackluster impression. The 1963 Dart Phoenix did not make a significant impact on the muscle car scene, and it has largely been forgotten in automotive history. It failed to establish a strong performance reputation or leave a lasting legacy compared to other muscle cars of the era. Due to its poor performance and styling, the Dart Phoenix did not retain its value well. It was seen as a less desirable option compared to more successful muscle cars, leading to lower demand and lower resale values over time. The 1963 Dodge Dart Phoenix is remembered more for its failure to live up to the muscle car hype than for any significant achievements. It serves as a reminder of how challenging it was for some models to capture the essence of the muscle car era, especially when faced with stiff competition from more successful and well-designed vehicles. The 1963 Dodge Dart Phoenix was an attempt by Dodge to enter the muscle car market, but it fell short due to its uninspiring design and underwhelming performance. While it was a solid and affordable vehicle, it did not make a significant impact and was quickly overshadowed by more successful models of the time. Number 2. The 1960 Buick LeSabre was a model that struggled to make an impact despite its prominence in Buick's lineup. Known for its large size and a focus on comfort, it fell short in several areas, particularly when compared to its competitors in a rapidly evolving automotive market. The 1960 Buick LeSabre was part of Buick's full-size car range, offering a blend of luxury and comfort. It was designed to cater to buyers looking for a spacious, comfortable vehicle. However, the car's performance and design aspects made it less appealing compared to other models of the time. The LeSabre was a large vehicle, which contributed to its hefty curb weight. While large cars were common in the 1960s, the LeSabre's size made it cumbersome and less maneuverable. The sheer bulk of the car affected its handling and made it less enjoyable to drive, especially in urban settings or tight corners. The LeSabre's engine choices were relatively underpowered for its size. The base engine was a 364 cubic inch V8, producing around 250 horsepower. While this might have seemed adequate on paper, the large size of the car meant that performance felt sluggish and unremarkable. The car's acceleration and overall driving dynamics were disappointing, especially compared to more performance-oriented models of the era. The design of the 1960 LeSabre was relatively conservative and did not stand out in a market that was beginning to favor more dynamic and innovative styling. The car featured a large, bulky front end and a somewhat boxy profile, which made it look outdated compared to newer, more streamlined designs. While some cars of the time embraced bold styling trends, the LeSabre's design was more traditional and unremarkable. Its appearance lacked the flair and excitement that could have made it more appealing to buyers looking for a stylish vehicle. The LeSabre was equipped with a soft suspension system designed for comfort, but this led to poor handling characteristics. The car's ride was soft to the point of being sloppy, with excessive body roll and a lack of responsiveness in turns. This made the LeSabre feel less composed and less engaging to drive. While the focus on a smooth ride was intended to enhance comfort, it also contributed to a less precise driving experience. The soft suspension, combined with the car's large size, resulted in a driving experience that felt disconnected and less enjoyable compared to sportier or more performance-oriented vehicles. The 1960 LeSabre was built with the technology and features available at the time, but it lacked some of the advancements and innovations that were beginning to appear in newer models. Features like advanced suspension systems, improved engine technology, and more refined styling were not present in the LeSabre, making it feel outdated compared to its competitors. The LeSabre's focus on traditional luxury and comfort meant that it did not incorporate some of the more modern features that buyers were starting to expect. This limited its appeal to a segment of buyers who were looking for both comfort and a touch of modernity. In 1960, the automotive market was highly competitive, with numerous manufacturers offering innovative and exciting new models. The Buick LeSabre struggled to compete with cars that offered better performance, more modern styling, or advanced features. The competition included models from Ford, Chevrolet, and Pontiac, which were often more appealing to buyers looking for excitement or innovation. The LeSabre was known for its spacious and comfortable interior, providing ample room for passengers. Its large size contributed to a roomy cabin, making it a good choice for families or those who valued comfort. The LeSabre was well-built and durable, reflecting Buick's reputation for solid construction. Despite its performance and design issues, it was a reliable vehicle that was built to last. The 1960 Buick LeSabre is often remembered as a car that failed to make a significant impact due to its size, underwhelming performance, and dated styling. It serves as a reminder of how quickly automotive trends can change and how important it is for manufacturers to stay ahead of evolving consumer preferences. The 1960 Buick LeSabre was a vehicle that emphasized comfort and traditional luxury, but fell short in performance and design. Its large size and underwhelming engine options made it less appealing in a competitive market, and its dated styling and soft ride further detracted from its overall appeal. Number 1. The 1969 Mercury Cougar base model was part of Mercury's attempt to enter the growing muscle car market with a stylish new offering. While some versions of the Cougar, particularly the higher performance models, gained respect and recognition, the base model struggled to make an impression. The 1969 Mercury Cougar was introduced as a more upscale alternative to the Ford Mustang, aiming to capture the same sporty spirit, but with a touch of luxury and refinement. However, the base model did not live up to the muscle car hype and fell short in several key areas. The base model of the 1969 Cougar came with a 302 cubic inch V8 engine, which produced approximately 210 horsepower. While adequate for daily driving, this engine was considered weak compared to the more powerful engines offered in competitors, and even in higher trims of the Cougar itself. The performance was sluggish, and the car lacked the acceleration and excitement expected from a muscle car. The base Cougar's performance was uninspiring and did not offer the thrilling driving experience that enthusiasts sought. The car's acceleration and handling were modest, making it feel more like a standard sporty coupe rather than a true muscle car. Although the Cougar was marketed as a stylish alternative to the Mustang, the base model's design did not stand out. It lacked the aggressive styling or distinctive features that could have made it more memorable. The base model's look was more subdued and less exciting compared to the more striking design of higher performance versions or competitors. By 1969, automotive styling was rapidly evolving, with many cars sporting more dynamic and aggressive designs. The base Cougar's design, while clean and polished, did not capture the bold, muscular aesthetic that was becoming popular in the era's muscle cars. The muscle car market was characterized by high performance and bold styling, but the base Cougar did not fully embrace these traits. The car's performance and appearance were at odds with the expectations of the muscle car market, where buyers were looking for both excitement and flair. While higher trims of the Cougar, such as the XR7 and the Eliminator, offered more powerful engines and performance features, the base model did not benefit from these upgrades. This made the base Cougar feel like a compromise rather than a full-fledged member of the muscle car segment. The interior of the base model was functional but lacked the premium or sporty touches that could have enhanced its appeal. The cabin featured basic materials and design elements, which did not set it apart from other cars in its class. Compared to higher trims or competitors, the base Cougar's interior was somewhat plain and lacked the advanced features or luxurious touches that buyers might have expected in a sportier vehicle. The base Cougar was introduced during a time when the muscle car market was crowded with strong competitors like the Pontiac GTO, Ford Mustang Mach-1, and Chevrolet Camaro Z/28. The base Cougar struggled to compete against these models, which offered more powerful engines, aggressive styling, and a stronger performance reputation. As the muscle car era was defined by performance and style, the base model's lack of both made it less appealing to buyers who were looking for excitement and innovation. The Cougar's position in the market was undermined by its inability to meet these expectations. The 1969 Mercury Cougar base model is often remembered as a less exciting entry in the muscle car segment. While it had a strong foundation and some appealing qualities, it did not fully capitalize on the muscle car spirit and was overshadowed by more powerful and stylish competitors. The 1969 Mercury Cougar, base model, was a car that attempted to offer a mix of style and performance, but fell short in both areas. Its underwhelming performance and conservative design made it less appealing in a market dominated by more exciting and powerful muscle cars.